For more on finance, we're joined in the studio by Rod North, Executive Director at Bourse Communications. Rod, good morning.
Good morning.
And the share markets are going steady as well.
The share market's actually looking pretty good at the moment, and I mean, you wouldn't think after a sort of horror budget that the share market would be rising, and it has been. I think a lot of that's got to do with the fact that we've got a lot of takeover activity currently underway, and that's often an indication that things will improve, you know, in 6 to 12 months, because a lot of private equity groups are looking for opportunities, and we saw that bid yesterday with SAI Global, which is a risk management group. They sacked their CEO, and then Pacific Equity made a bid for $1.1 billion for that group, so the shares went up quite substantially. We've got sort of the backdrop of what's happening with David Jones. We've seen Spotless relist on Friday, and I talked about that a while back, you know, for a valuation of $2 billion after being purchased in 2012 for $725 million. So there's a lot of activity happening in the market, and it's almost as if people are shoring themselves up thinking, well, there must be growth ahead, so let's acquire these businesses at pretty good prices at the moment. It's a
self-fulfilling prophecy, because once there's more merger and acquisition activity in the market naturally grows as people buy into the deals.
That's exactly right, and I think that will continue to play out, you know, over the next 2 years, because, you know, in sectors like retail, for example, you know, there's extraordinarily good value there, and we know with David Jones they're sitting on a massive property asset with the area in the Sky in Sydney, for example, that, you know, could be utilised. So I think there'll be a lot more opportunism in this area, which will help, you know, drive our market. Quite apart from the fact today we're all alone because we don't know, you know, without the lead from Wall Street, you know, we've got to do it all ourselves today.
We'll have to just make up our own minds and not sort of, you know, rely on the big brothers.
Exactly.
The comments there by Ross Garnaut on the state of the high dollar. What'd you make of that?
Well, look, I think that dollar is going to continue to stay high at the moment, and until we really see US interest rates start to move up at some point in the cycle, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. I don't think our rates are going to move up at all based on the budget, because I think that's taken the edge off consumer confidence, business confidence, and also the retail sector, with the retail sector figures recently showing it's down 5.1%, and the consumer sentiment as well is at the lowest level since August 2011. So I don't think our cash rate now is going to move anywhere for some time. It could be well into next year.
Oh, right.
So those comments in relation to particularly property, you know, that we need to be a lot more careful, and in particular with APRA's guidelines that were issued yesterday. I think at any point in time in the cycle you've got to review those positions and say, let's make sure that risky lending practices aren't happening. Let's make sure we properly assess someone who's applying for a mortgage, that they actually can afford to pay it off if rates do go up at some point in the cycle. I think they're the concerns that currently exist, because there's a lot of competition in that market, not only with banks, there's a lot more mortgage lenders coming back into the market now. Remember, they all disappeared a few years back. Well, they're back with a vengeance, and it concerns me, particularly when we're seeing clearance rates in the property sector well into the 70%. And you know, just a frenzy out there. If you go to an auction, you know, anywhere around the country, it's you know, been madness.
So the APRA guidelines that we were speaking about earlier seem like a good move to you as well?
I think they're an excellent move, and I think that really people that are taking out mortgages and all that, we've seen, you know, some exposés recently on the ABC's Four Corner program about what can happen if paperwork's you know, not appropriately dealt with, and you've signed something. I'd be wanting to see all the source documents and make sure that, you know, what you're actually signing up for is what you actually get.
Good to talk to you, Rod. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rod.
Thank you.
Now, we can report some